Today, we are talking about social content video for hotels. So let's get started. We got a lot to cover in just 30 minutes. So I want to start with a social media timeline. It's sometimes very surprising when I talk to hoteliers to know that next year, it was surprising to me to find out, next year, Facebook is turning 20 years old. That's absolutely insane, right? Instagram, 14 years old. And even TikTok, that I feel like has just been around for a couple of years, is turning 8 years old next year. So there's all of these platforms that have been around for so long, yet sometimes hoteliers, businesses, social media managers across the country are still using it the same exact way as they open their profile. How many times in this timeline did you sit with your social media team, or has your hotel or portfolio of hotels, I know we've got a lot of group of hotels on here, sat down and say, we need to revamp, rethink, totally re-strategize our social strategy because there's so many new features out there that we can do? And if the answer is not so often or never, that's okay. And that's what this is going to be about. And if you need any further proof of how much social media has evolved, take your phone, not now, but after this, take your phone and just scroll through your social feeds and see how many times you're just seeing posts that just have words in them, just copy. And then see how many times that you're just seeing posts with just still images. Most of the content we are absorbing today is through video. And the hoteliers know and understand how important social media is. And this is the first data point from that survey that I mentioned before. 87% of hoteliers feel that having a social media presence has a positive impact on a guest impression of a hotel and actually increases your chance of conversion. So the understanding of social media is there, but there's a gap. Why are we not evolving our strategies to some of the new social media features of today? And that's what we're going to talk about. Stories is a great example, right? Something that was launched a couple years ago to give kind of micro moments to our audience for 24 hours and not fill our feed. Live features. How many hotels on this webinar have used a LinkedIn Live or Instagram Live to show event space for weddings or other groups, showed their lobby or done a room tour of the property? These are all social media features today that we can do to level up our strategy. But the two that I really want to focus on today are both Instagram and Reels. And I'm going to give you some data points there. But it's always going to come back to this question here. And this is what I'm going to try to really circle my presentation and webinar around, which is how can we gain a competitive advantage leveraging our hotel's social media strategy? And this survey that we did, these data points are showing some clear gaps where you can really, if you take advantage, you can capture market share and leverage your social media to outpace your competitors. So I mentioned it before, Instagram Reels. I really want to focus on this because we found this in the survey that 53% of the hotels that we surveyed are on Instagram. That's fantastic. In fact, that is a lot more than what we saw when we did this survey last time. So the secret is out with Instagram Reels, or I'm sorry, Instagram. Not so much Instagram Reels, however. Only 22% are leveraging Reels. And Reels is such a powerful tool on Instagram because it actually widens your audience and awareness to people that are not following your account. In fact, Instagram describes this. You can share your Reel to a dedicated space in Explore where it has the chance to be seen and discovered by the wider Instagram community. So creating Instagram Reels actually gets awareness outside of your following, which is something right now, the only way that you would be able to do that is through social media ad spend. So this is a perfect way. It's a free way to get in the eyes and ears of travelers that might not be aware of who you are so that they can follow your account. So as I mentioned before, we're going to show some examples. This is the first example of a social video that we can post and just see all the incredible content that's just covered in a short 20-second video. So you can see there the difference between that single post image and all of the content that we were able to share. And again, just a 20-second video, but that's just one of the features of a platform I'm going to talk about. The other is the platform itself. TikTok, I'm sure we've all heard of it. This was another just huge opportunity to leverage your social strategy to gain a competitive advantage. 150 million active users, hour and a half every single day. And that average of usage is going up. As you can see in Q2 of 22, how that compares to other social media sites. 92% of users were inspired to take action after watching a TikTok video. Great way to connect with a new generation, a younger demographic that is very much traveling, and help you build awareness in a place. Again, social media, if it's leveraged the right way, these are free accounts that you can start. And as you see here, only 8% of the hotels that we surveyed had a TikTok page. So I would argue this platform right now is Instagram, maybe 5-7 years ago, where the hotel industry was just starting to kind of dip their toes in the water. But if you come in with a strategy, you have a real opportunity here. So, and here's another example of a video that we created from our social media team here at Travel Media Group. And this is, one of the people from my product team kind of challenged me here and said, look at this visual here and see the difference of how you feel of just a still image like this and just adding a little bit of movement and music and the difference that it creates and sees in a traveler's perspective and eyes. So just a completely different feel and look, and that is the power of social video. I'm going to keep referencing that, but I want to talk about this gap because we saw this, in our survey data, we saw a huge gap in the number of hotels that were on these particular platforms, but the number of hoteliers that were using these platforms. And so 53% and 8%, as we saw, are on these platforms, yet 66% are using Instagram personally and 45% are using TikTok. So the gaps here are huge. So we wanted to figure out, why is that? Why do I feel as an individual, as a traveler, as a hotelier, I'm also a traveler, that I feel it's important and entertaining enough to be on these platforms, yet I don't feel like my business should be here, even though I know travelers' ears and eyes are here. So we tried to explore that a little bit. And the biggest thing that we found, the biggest social media challenge that we found, was respondents, answered 62% of the time, they just don't have the time, which makes sense. If we are 365, 24/7 job, they do not have the time. And we saw that and try to explore that even more by asking how often they posted. And these were some pretty surprising facts here. 28% were posting multiple times per week. So the great news is if you're a hotel posting multiple times per week, you are doing a better job than 62% of the hoteliers out there. But 19% said only once a week and 31% said rarely. So I want to focus on these two because we're talking about gaining that competitive advantage. When you combine those two segments, that's 50% of hotels are posting either once a week or rarely. And this is a great exercise to do if you're running your hotel social media or if you own a hotel or portfolio of hotels, because in a feed, it can look consistent with our content if we put it on a social media feed. But I challenge you, either through Google Calendar or a physical calendar, go through and mark the times that your hotel has posted over the course of a month. It could be September. It could be, if you're not doing it very often, maybe you go through the whole quarter. These hotels, this is what that calendar looks like. You think about all the times that people are making booking decisions, that the research that they're doing over the course of time, and that we're only having new, fresh, and relevant content. Compare this to if you only saw reviews on these dates and how trusted that information would be. The same is true with social media. So when we post once a week, 4 to 5 posts a month, that's really only 52 posts per year. Now I'll show you, this is what a social strategy should look like. This, when you partner with Travel Media Group, we post 4 to 5 times per week for a property. So a content calendar will look like this if you're partnering with us. 16 to 25 posts per month, 208 to 260 posts per year. And when we add the power of video, just even one social video a week, that's 52 social videos a year. Super, super powerful. And I'll show you here in a second how this videos can actually supplement and enhance the content that you're posting on a weekly basis. So as we go back to social media challenges, we did find 51% of respondents answered they're having trouble staffing someone to do it. We understand that. We're going through historic staffing shortage in our industry right now. It has been lagging I've been talking about it now on our podcast for about a year and a half. And that's why we're seeing more and more hotels reach out to us. We've never had as much demand for outsourcing things like review response or social media, because they just can't seem to find someone that they put in that position to consistently do that, or they're losing them due to turnover. I would argue also, you think about that timeline at the beginning, and where we were in the social media timeline. Maybe 5-10 years ago, brands, management companies, or even hotels, individual hotels, they might have been trusting their entire social media presence to a front desk agent who happened to be a little social media savvy. Today in 2023, as you could see with that one stat at the beginning, 87% say it impacts a guest impression and increases booking conversions. You can't take that risk with just handing that off to a front desk agent anymore. That's why, again, more and more hotels are outsourcing this to professionals who have a strategy involved. But really what I want to focus on was this came low, just slightly lower than not having enough time. 58% of respondents answered, I just don't know what to post. So, every single time I do one of these virtual events when it comes to social media, the feedback I get is more examples, please, more ideas for my content calendar. Because as you can tell from that last slide, if you're doing it correctly, there's a lot of content that needs to fill that calendar. So let's go through some ideas. One of the best places to start is our biggest occupancy drivers, events, right? So just as you would maybe have a content calendar, you should certainly have an events calendar. If you have been at your property for a year, multiple years, when football season is, when the concerts are in town, maybe annual 5Ks or events that happen. And if you're in a city like Memphis, a metropolitan city like Memphis, you might have multiple events in a week, right? So, a great example of this is a single post. On Facebook, the stat is people spend on average about 1.7 seconds with a piece of content before they're scrolling. If you're doing that exercise, I suggested at the beginning of scrolling through your feed, see how quickly you're scrolling up and down with a piece of content that you might not have interest in. So if I'm coming into town and I really don't have any interest in bikes or bike night on Beale, I could maybe even spend less than a second looking at this because I'm not interested. Yet when we infuse the power of a video here and have an event video that encompasses, I'll show you the difference here. So same exact quantity of content, correct, right? One post on Bike Night at Beale Street, one video, yet how many events were mentioned in that? That was a week's worth of events put in that video. And the smart thing they did there is said, check back next week for more events, and had kind of a call to action there. This is brilliant because as if you've been on one of my webinars or heard my podcast before, I kind of talk about how we consume series like Netflix Amazon Prime, Hulu. We always want more content. We want to be a part of that journey. So if you're encouraging your traveler, your guests to come back to check out the next video for next week's events, you're going to have a better chance of capturing their interest and hopefully gaining them as a follower. So let's talk about attractions, right? So events might change or may change week over week. Attractions, not so much. Depending on where you're at. We are located here just north of Orlando. So the hotels in this area have a great array of attractions. How can we turn an attractions Google search like this into a really compelling and powerful video that's going to capture the interest and awareness of travelers? Let's see. Absolutely love that video. So a couple great things they did that. And again, all the videos you're seeing here are samples from our Travel Media Group team, our product social team that they've created. If you can believe it, that was 22 seconds in length. Now, I put that because that's important. These algorithms on Instagram Reels and TikTok are all based on how long you spend with a piece of content. So if I'm scrolling through my feed and I just quickly turn a video away or I turn a piece of content away, Instagram or TikTok is going to notate that on your profile and say, oh, well, they're not interested in this. I'm not going to show them videos or content that is like this in the future. Now, a countdown rank format like you saw in that last video, or even the events video that we saw before, this is absolutely wonderful because it keeps a guest interest hopefully the entire duration of that video. So the longer they're viewing your content, the more opportunity you have to capture them and be in their feed once again. We talked about organic reach. And if Instagram and TikTok sees that you're engaging, that users are engaging and watching a video for a long time, they are going to push that to more users. So you actually up your chances of getting in front of more eyes and ears of travelers. They also did a fantastic job of prominently highlighting the property. This video could have been made without the property name there the entire time, but that is some great marketing and keeping that in there during the duration of the video. And we also had a question featured to prompt traveler engagement at the end of this, right? We're always looking for call to actions. We do that on our regular, maybe just picture social media posts, but why not add that to a video, see if we can get some interaction there. So weekly content recaps, this is a great idea. And, I talked about the events calendar, definitely have a place where, you want to house all that event information, but this is different. This is your property features. This is your notes. This is the voice of your hotel. And if you've been on our master classes, which you can find in the additional resources, or our boot camps or anything like that, you'll see that the most effective social strategies really have a consistent voice. They know exactly, what they're trying to get out to your traveler. And, my exercise is take one person, have them post for a week, take somebody else, have them post for the week. And if those two things aren't aligning based on your notes and feedback, then there's an issue there. There's a frequency issue there, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But this is actually shots from TMG OneView where our social partners actually leave their notes, their social notes for us, and our client success representatives actually put these notes in for our social team so that they can create posts. So when we look at a week's So that video alone just showed a week's worth of content, 22 seconds, a content recap format, call to action booking post, a local attraction, an on-site restaurant at the property, a local event and amenity, all packed in one post. So again, that is the power of a social video, where it can essentially take everything that you've done over the span of a week, condense that into one, and give your guests and travelers a whole lot of information in a very quick time frame that might take a week, 2 weeks, or even 3 weeks to explain if you're otherwise posting only once on your social media feed, like we saw so many hotels are doing based on that data. So I want to get into this idea of social frequency, and this is where Travel Media Group really differentiates itself from any social partner that you have, and it really starts with our expertise. So we are hospitality specific. If we do not have a hotel in your market, I guarantee you we work with a hotel that's similar to your market. We know exactly where to look for events, attractions. We have posted over 1 million social posts. We work with thousands of hotels across the country. So I guarantee you, if you are working with another social partner that is not hotel specific, we understand the brands. We understand if you're an independent franchise, your hashtags, your cleaning protocols. This is just knowledge that we know because we are a hospitality specific company. So as we do that, and if you think about each one of these points, these intersection points, as a time where we post, you see we get closer and closer. And there's other things that we're doing here. We're adding notes that I mentioned earlier at onboarding. Our client success is having monthly check-ins with you, reviewing the content that we posted, looking at your analytics, talking about the ad spend, planning in the future, what is on the horizon, what's working, what's not working. It's essentially a consultation each time we give you a call. You are able to give us feedback on posts, edit posts. We give 2 weeks advance worth of content so that you're able to tell us where we are hitting the mark. And this is the most important. Through time and experience, we truly do become an extension of your hotel when it comes to your social media strategy. And that's the power that we can implement with this Travel Media Group social frequency that we're talking about. So I know we've talked a lot about social video content, and this is probably what I've been gearing up for the most, and what I'm most excited about is we are introducing for the first time ever TMG's social video content solution for hotels. We are so excited. You saw a couple sample videos today. We are launching this on October 1st. So I know there was a lot of interest in this social media virtual event.